not just a feeling. Fear is a system. Many of you watching me right now are not stuck because you're lazy. You're not stuck because you're incapable. You're stuck because fear has been making your decisions. And the dangerous thing about fear is that it does not always announce itself. It can look normal. It can sound logical. It can even feel wise. It hides behind statements like, I'm just being careful. I'm waiting for the right time. I'm not ready yet. But it's just not me. But many times, what you're calling caution is actually fear. What you're calling timing is actually fear. What you're calling personality is actually fear. What you're calling wisdom is actually fear. And until you expose it, fear will keep controlling your life silently. Welcome to Breaking the Cycle, another episode with Simply Ann. Tonight, I'm by myself, but in your house, in your car, wherever you are. And tonight talk show is a place that you have to be so you can confront what has been ruling you, ruling us, shaping us, limiting us, and quietly controlling us. Today we are dealing with something many people live with. Excuse, hide, normalize, and never confront. Fear. Not just fear as feeling for a moment, but fear as a system that can take over your choices, your voice, your confidence, your obedience, your future, and even your identity. Because there are people who love God, they have gifts, have intelligence, have potential, have opportunities, and still remain bound. Why? Because fear has become their internal ruler. So today we are going deeper. We're going to discuss about fear, and not fear just as an emotion. Fear is often learned response stored in our soul, deep in our soul. As many know by now, that's my mandate, to deal what is in our soul. Fear comes from experiences. It comes from pain. It comes from trauma. It comes from embarrassment. It comes from failure. It comes from rejection. It comes from being heard, exposed, laughed at, mishandled, disappointed, neglected, and the feeling of being unsafe. I'm quite sure many of you recognize some of these things. The truth of the matter is, your soul remembers it. Your soul, our soul, records the moment of what we experience. It records what broke us. It records what frightened us. It records what embarrassed us. It records what made us feel powerless. Then your soul, our soul, begins to build system simply to protect us, to protect you. What begins as protection can become imprisonment. That's why many people are not free today. They are not choosing from faith. They're not choosing, they are now choosing rather from fear. And the thing is, fear is not always loud. Sometimes fear whisper, do not try, don't trust, don't speak, don't go, don't start, do not step out, do not let them see you, do not fail, do not fall, do not be vulnerable. Many people have obeyed fear for such a long time, and they don't even recognize the voice of fear. They think simply that is just, that's who I am. It's normal. That is what fear trained us, train you watching tonight to become. If up to now, what you're hearing, this episode, is triggering something, or you know someone battling with fear, share it. Let them know. Watch it on TV 15. We're going to have it again. We're going to repeat it because many people live in fear. It's going to be on our YouTube channel. Share it. Let someone know that tonight we are confronting the word fear. The problem is fear is deeper than many people think. When people hear the word fear, they often think immediately only on panic, trembling, or being scared in a particular moment. But can I tell you something? Fear has many faces. Some people are afraid of flying. I used to be afraid of flying. Some people are afraid of animals, insects. Some are afraid of heights. Some are afraid of the dark. Some are afraid of being alone. Some are afraid of driving. Some are afraid of being in crowds. Some are afraid of closed spaces. Some are afraid of failing. Some are afraid of getting sick, dying. Some are afraid of something will happen, something bad, horrible, terrible will happen soon. And then there are deeper fears. Fear of doing something new, fear of starting over, fear of trusting again, fear of loving again, fear of being rejected, fear of failing, fear of succeeding, fear of being seen, fear of being hurt, fear of being judged, fear of being exposed, disappointed, fear of making the wrong move, or simply fear of watching. I know many people are afraid of speaking in public, walking in public. Some are afraid of even using the voice that they whisper. Fear of stepping in a room, and sometimes even rooms that you prayed for. And for many young people, this is a real thing. Young people, many, especially girls, they're afraid to talk, afraid to speak up in class, afraid to even raise the hand, afraid to answer questions, afraid to ask a question, afraid to be present, afraid of people just looking at them, afraid of being laughed at, afraid of social media judgment, afraid of saying the wrong thing, of being accepted. So many young people go silent. And then what happens? Their voices becomes buried. The confidence becomes delayed. The identity becomes shaped by this fear. And if fear is not confronted early, it doesn't disappear with age. It grows, it matures, it follows people even in their adulthood. It follows people in the marriage, in the ministry. It follows people in the business, in the way they lead. That's why some adults still cannot speak up, still cannot step out, still cannot launch with a dream that they have, still cannot lead or trust, rest. Not because they don't have the ability to do so, but because fear has been sitting in the driver's seat for a very, very long time. And fear is very deceptive. It does not always come as a terror. Sometimes it comes as disguise. And you will say, Anne, simply, Anne, how do you mean fear can come as a disguise? Watch this. Procrastination. It can come as overthinking, perfectionism, avoidance, control, because you're simply afraid. People pleasing, because you're afraid that they will leave you. Withdrawal, because you're afraid that somebody will reject you. Being silenced, because you're afraid that they will accept or your opinion counts. Excuses, delay. I know many people will say, sometimes say, I hear them a lot. I'm just taking my time, simply. Anne. But sometimes you're not taking your time. Sometimes it's fear. It's taking control of your life. Many say, I want everything to be perfect first. But perfectionism is often fear wearing just a makeup. It's simply fear to be judged. Maybe I won't do it good enough. Or maybe I will do it wrong. Maybe they won't like it. They will criticize it. They won't accept it. Maybe I will never measure up to people's standards, my parents' standards, my friends' standards, society standards. And sometimes people, and I used to be that one, over prepare myself because of fear. Some people over explain themselves because of fear. Tonight we're talking about fear. And I'm quite sure as I'm speaking, some of you will recognize and identify it in yourself or perhaps someone around you, a loved one, a friend. So that's why some people hide because they are afraid. Some perform, overperform because of simply fear. Some try to please everyone because of fear. And I know many don't even start or never leave, never apply, never speak because they're afraid. Many people get stuck in domestic toxic relationship because they are afraid of leaving. Hmm. Some people never heal, never obey God's fully. Why? Because fear does not just make people run. Fear makes people freeze. And many people have frozen lives. They're still dreaming, still postponing, still waiting, still saying one day. That is simply fear controlling their destiny. But can I tell you something tonight? Fear has a root. Fear doesn't begin just like that from one moment to another. Something happened and it has a history. Some of you watching me tonight, reacting from an old wound in present situation. Something that happened long, long time ago. Because of that fear that happened long time ago, that wound, what hurts you, it show up in our present decision because of fear of that hurt you sometimes in our childhood, long time ago. You're grown now, adult, but you're still reacting, tied to that version of you that experienced that traumatic event. Could be the child that was mocked, the child that was bullied, the teenager that was rejected in high school, the young adult that failed publicly and everybody ridiculed and laughed, or the woman that was betrayed by her best friend, or that man, the young man that was humiliated by his dad, or that person that never received that affirmation that you have done it well, or the one tried once and got hurt and just afraid not to try again. We had an episode with Dr. Ivan a few weeks ago that says the soul remember what happened. Our mind may forget, but deep in our soul, we remember what hurt us. So every time something similar appears, that fear rises up. And then you're not responding out of what is happening now. You're responding what happened, past tense. That's why someone can be terrified of speaking, not because speaking is dangerous, but because at some point their voice became associated with some shame, That's why someone can fear relationship, not because love is evil, but because pain taught them that closeness, proximity is dangerous. That's why someone can be afraid trying again, not because opportunity is bad or there's not an option or no opportunity arises, but because somewhere down in the past, they failed and that failure became very traumatic. As I'm speaking to myself. I know what it is to be afraid and paralyzed. That's why someone can fear flying, falling, insect, roaches, animals, crowds, open spaces, closed spaces, and even with no logical behind it. But all those situations, everything is so dangerous, and the body still reacts to that feeling or that smell or that emotion. Because fear lives beyond logic, beyond reality. Fear can exist even when part of you knows better, but deep down inside, it cannot comprehend or feel the difference from reality and what was past. What is happening now to what happened before, long time before. You can tell yourself, I am safe, but yet your body feels tightened, tension, your hands start sweating, start breathing hard, your stomach turns, your mind starts racing, your chest tighten up, your thoughts start to go all over the place. Why? Because fear can be stored deep in our subconscious, deep in our soul. And when fear is stored deep in our soul, in our body, it becomes more than emotion, more than a feeling. It becomes a pattern, it becomes a cycle. That's why it's important to identify and break some cycles. Because fear, it doesn't affect only your emotions. It affects your whole being. It affects your body, the way you think, the way you react, your nervous system, the way you behave. It affects your relationship. It affects your confidence. It affects your obedience. Fear can make our body feel unsafe even when the moment is not truly dangerous. Fear can make our mind imagine the worst before anything happens. Fear can make your soul stay in constant fight mode, survival mode. Even when there is an opportunity that is great, you can see it's a great opportunity, but deep inside your soul expect disaster. Even when there is love, people telling you they love you, you can sense it, all those beautiful stuff, you still expect betrayal. Almost like you're waiting for it to happen. Even when there is a platform, you expect embarrassment. Even when there is peace, you expect somewhere along the line, trouble will rise. That's not just caution. That is your soul trained for a very long time to be afraid. We're talking tonight about fear. And that is why some people are exhausted, tired, sleeping, but yet not resting. Because fear can make your soul so heavy. It drains you because you're constantly bracing yourself. It can drain you. As a matter of fact, it will drain you because you are always overthinking. It will drain you because you're always imagining what can go wrong. It is draining you constantly because you're constantly monitoring, predicting, overlooking, overthinking, protecting. It's very tiring to be living with fear. And a lot of people out there are walking with fear. That's why some people are physically present, but internally, they're bound. So let's talk about some spiritual truth. Fear is not neutral. Fear is the opposite of faith. Fear says, what if it goes wrong? But most of us know that faith said, faith, belief, what if God is in this and it can work out? Fear will always tell us, protect yourself, guard yourself. And faith in God says, trust God. Fear says, stay where it's safe. Don't speak. Don't move. Don't go. But when we have faith, we move when God says, move. Faith tells us to don't speak. Faith will say, open your mouth and speak up. Fear will tell us, don't try that business again. Do not try again. And faith tells us, get up and try one more time. Now, this is very important what I'm saying. Not every fear is demonic in the same way. Some fear is tied to what we've been talking about on this talk show, trauma. Some fear is tied to learned behavior, mirrored behavior. Some fear is tied to pain and unhealed experiences. But whatever the root of fear is, fear can become a spiritual barrier when it keeps you from obedience, truth, healing, purpose, living, laughing, loving, hoping. Because anything that repeatedly stops you from becoming who God called you to be, what you dream to be, you must confront it. You can never, it will never happen. You can never fully walk in your purpose while fear is leading every decision. Fear may keep you safe for a moment that you think you are safe, but it will also keep you small. It will keep you silent. It will keep you delayed. It will keep you in hiding. And then there will come a time, point in your life that you have to make the decision. We all have to make the decision. I had to make the decision at a point in time. Do I want to comfort, comfort, or do I want to live, or do I really want freedom? Do I want to feel familiarity, what I'm accustomed, the way I feel, and it became my personality, quote unquote? Or do I want healing? Do I want just survival? Or do I really want to reach to a place that I want transformation? Right now, I want to speak directly to young people out there, the youths that are dealing with a lot of fear. Because of fear, they will become people pleaser and they will start to do anything to be able to fit in, to be accepted. Because of what? Fear of being alone, fear of being rejected, fear of being not accepted, looking small, looking different. So I know a lot of young people are living under fear and nobody is calling it by name. You think you're shy, you think you're awkward, you think you're just quiet, you think you're just not that kind of person. But sometimes it's something deeper. Sometimes you're simply afraid. Afraid of people's opinion, afraid of your peers being laughed at you, afraid of social rejection, afraid of not sounding smart enough, afraid of being embarrassed, afraid of attention, afraid of everybody watching you. So you hide, you silence your ideas, you shrink your personality, you bury your question, you simply stop trying, you avoid opportunities, and then little by little, this fear begins to shape your future. But let me tell you something tonight. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. Your ideas matters. Your purpose matters. And you cannot let fear train you to disappear. Because when young people grow up afraid to speak, afraid to lead, afraid to ask, afraid to be present, afraid to show up, that fear can rob them years, years of living. This is why fear must be confronted early and intentional. We must call it by its name. I'm afraid. I want to ask you something honestly. You that is watching me. Where is fear making your decisions for you? Where is fear giving you an opinion of a matter? And I need you to be honest with me tonight. Be honest with yourself. I often say that if we do not expose something or be aware or be conscious, be mindful, have the understanding of what is happening to me. Why do I react certain way? Why do I make certain decision? Why do I hide? Why do I shrink? Why don't I be honest with myself? It is impossible to be able to climb the wall and go to the other side. What I'm trying to say is see it from a new lens and become the best version of yourself. Where did fear make you make decision in your relationship or even be in a relationship because you're afraid? Is it in your healing? Is it in your purpose? Is it in your calling? Is it in your parenting? Where did fear show up? Perhaps in your leadership skills, in your body, in your mind, in your voice? Is it in what you keep postponing? What you have not done because of fear? Let me ask you something. What are the conversations you avoid to have because you're afraid of what will be the response or what they will tell you? I know many people don't like confrontation because they're afraid of speaking up, afraid of voicing their opinion, afraid of standing for themselves. What step have you delayed because you were afraid? Or perhaps what doors have you refused to walk through, open because of fear? Or what gift and talent you hide because you are simply afraid? I know somebody with a beautiful voice, but she refused to use it because she's afraid. What business you have put up, what assignment you have put up. Part of you, what your part of your life, rather, is still being ruled, governed by fear. This show is called Breaking the Cycle with Simply Ann. And the truth of the matter, if the cycle of fear doesn't break, you don't break it, it will keep showing up in adulthood, in every part of your life, in every decision. And cycles break only when we confront them. We are honest with ourselves. And when I'm talking about honesty, it's not that we have to go tell the whole world, hey, hello, I finally realized this because I'm afraid I didn't start the business. We need to be honest with ourselves, be transparent with ourselves. That's why it's so important to spend time with ourselves. I tell young people all the time, young people tend to be so busy from one social media platform, from TikTok, they jump to WhatsApp, and not only young people, also adults, constantly busy, constantly listening to music, constantly doing things, constantly going, party, jamming, doing all kinds of stuff because they're simply afraid of being quiet with themselves. Because when they become quiet, meaning no noise, no distraction, no entertainment, they will have to feel what they're feeling. They will have to hear the voice that is speaking. When they're quiet, they will feel the pain that they're carrying in their soul. That's why we have a generation right now that people are just addicted, hooked to the cell phone or the tablets, to a screen, constantly behind the screen. Because if I am constantly entertained, I don't have to think. And then when you become so hooked, this fear can magnify so big because now you are constantly being confronted rather, a reality that is not your reality. So if you are afraid of how you look and you're afraid that people will judge you because the way you look and you're constantly on social platform looking at what you will love to look like, this will make you shrink even more. Because the truth of the matter, when I look at myself, I don't like how I look. And then I'm constantly watching what I would love to look like. It can really cause severe anxiety and depression. And that's the next episode coming up. So this week, I want you to take action. I want you to do one thing fear has been stopping you from doing. One thing. Because the only way we can break cycle is when we confront it, which is doing it afraid, doing it scared, doing it anyhow. One thing alone. Because healing starts in layers, step by step, cycle by cycle. How do we start healing? Simply by first understanding where we understanding the issues we are dealing with here in our soul, and then we confront it so we can break it. So this week, if you are tired of being scared, tired of being afraid of make decisions, sorry, this week I would like you to do one thing. Maybe it can be make the call you have been afraid to make. Maybe there's someone that you wanted to call and confront or discuss this question. Make that call. Maybe it's an email you needed to send and you're afraid to send. Maybe it's a conversation you wanted to have for a very long time. Have that conversation this week. Maybe it's to apply for an opportunity, a job. Try it this week. One thing, perhaps in meetings, you have been the one always quiet, afraid that maybe your opinion might sound dumb, silly. Maybe this week, speak up in that meeting. Say something. Ask a question. Take a class. Or perhaps start the healing process. One thing. Try again. Stand up. Use your voice. Just one thing alone. That's how I started. One at a time. Starting to take a plane. I used to be afraid of flying, being close in a, I'm close up in a very confined, close up place. It's traumatizing. But I love to go on vacation. I love to see new places. I love to try new things. But I'm afraid of flying. So I had to make a decision. Try it one time. Afraid, scared. Not waiting until tomorrow or someday in the future, but this week. One thing. Because fear loses power when truth meets action. Some people is afraid to look at someone in the eye. It's not to look up, lift up your head. It's not to straighten up your shoulder. One at a time. This week, what is it that you're afraid of? For the young person, you see a group of young people there, they rather go the all the way around because I'm afraid to pass in crowd of people looking at me, my peers looking because they might laugh at how I look. So for the young person, what about passing and walking in the crowd? Because for many people, fear had a voice in their life for a very, very long time. And you will be surprised when you start to speak up or doing it, how satisfying it becomes in your soul. We have the power to break cycles so it don't keep having authority over us, ruling us. Can you imagine? I can live my life, my best life, but I live control based on I'm afraid to try it. What if you try it and it works? What if you apply and they take, you get the job? What if you try the business and the business work? None of us were created to live small or live with fear. We have not been created to live trapped, trapped in our own mind, trapped in our own body. We have not been created to remain silent. I love the word of God because it says that God created us to have authority, dominion, subdue, speak up, take over, succeed, be the best of us, glorify his name. So when you look down, you see just pure success. And success sometimes means that I will fail a few times before I become successful. I will fall down and scratch my knees sometimes before I make it. Like them. When they're crawling, they will fall a few times before they get up. But the issue is humanity, the human nature. We always want to reach before we even start to walk. And because of things that happened in our past, the trauma that happened in our past, a thing that hurt us so deep that I always talk about the rejection, the betrayal, the emotional wounds, the abandonment, injustice that happened. It really shaped us, and fear is one way of it, showing that there is something wrong, something happened to you somewhere down in your life. Something broke you and it made you not feel less of a person. And the truth is, the moment we can realize that, hey, I am afraid, something happened. I used to be so afraid. I mean, actually, it creeped me still a bit. Cats. I used to be so afraid of cats. Even now in my adulthood, I cannot stand cats touching my legs or the sound or the scratching. It creeps my body. And I couldn't understand why was that. Why cats, and some cats are beautiful. Kudos to all those that love cats. Yeah, I overcame that fear. Now that I like them, I won't have them as a pet because that connection of my past with cats, because I was traumatized. And one day I realized after thinking of me and my siblings having a discussion, and I came to understand why is it I disliked cats? I was afraid of them. I used to find them simply. Can I tell you how trauma works? How Fear creeps in because an event that happened in the past, as I said in the beginning of when I started. Because my grandmother, God bless her soul, may her soul rest in peace. I used to love Granny. Granny raised me as a mom. Granny had an idea to have kittens in a box underneath my bed as a 6, 7 year old. Don't listen, we're not going there. Why this happened? So in the night, when it's so dark in the house, when everybody's sleeping on the bunk bed, and I was on the bottom one. As a 6, 7 year old, you're hearing the. Then, because of that, I also used to rock my bed. Why? I was so afraid to step off the bed in the night, to go use the restroom. And then I became traumatized by the sound, by the scratching, by the whole creepy experience, which was not creepy. It was normal. God created cats. Cats are part of our ecosystem. We need pets. I mean, they're beautiful. Stick, once you have cats, you don't have rats and moles. It's part of the ecosystem. But because of that, that fear creeps in. That s- how one of the animals, as I said earlier, some people are afraid of animals, that I used to be afraid of. Now look at this. Because of that, now it affects many other parts of my body. The sleeping in the dark and the noise and all of that, because simply my grandmother, loving grandmother that loved me very much, decided to put cats under my bed. So what I'm saying is, if we do not understand the root of what caused it and we confront it, we will be stuck with it. Because none of us were created to live in survival mode forever. We were created to heal. We were created to grow. We were created to move. We were created to rise. We were created to walk in purpose. And today you must make a decision. And this decision is simply action. Fear will not lead me anymore. Say it again. Fear will not lead my life anymore. It won't control me anymore. So this is breaking the cycle. Like I always say, my past, your past, our past may have started the cycle, but we have the power to break it. And this is your moment to stop letting fear make your decision and start taking your life back. Until next week, keep standing, keep rising, and keep breaking the cycle.